Chicken Keeping 101, a beginner's guide to chicken keeping. The most common reason to raise chickens is for the tasty eggs. You just can't buy eggs that good at a grocery store. Raising chickens is a fun learning experience, but where should you start? A great place to start is starting with baby chickens. It's less expensive, but much more involved. It's the best way to get to know your birds and make sure they're tame when they're older. You can do it for cheap or spend as much as you want. When starting out, you'll need a brooder, a waterer, a heat lamp, and a feeder. A brooder is just a place to keep your baby chickens. People have used all sorts of things like cardboard boxes, dog crates, fish tanks, and plastic bins. As long as it keeps them insulated and can hold the feeder and waterer, it should make a good brooder. The best brooders are the simplest ones. Once you've figured out what you're going to use as a brooder, you need to find some bedding. For the floor, you want to use flake pine shavings. Don't use cedar because the oils can be deadly to small chicks. Also, don't use fine shavings because the chicks will try to eat them. Now with your brooder set with bedding, you'll need to find a waterer. You just need to make sure that it's not too deep so your chicks can't drown, and that it can give them as much water as they want. You'll also need a feeder. Baby chicks should get a diet of up to 20% protein when they're very young. Once they get older, around 8 to 10 weeks, you can lower the protein slightly. And when they're older, you can start feeding them more treats. Now with food, water, and a place to stay, the chicks need something to keep them warm. Baby chicks have to be kept very warm the first few weeks. The chicks will tell you if they're too hot or too cold by where they are in the brooder. If they're bunched up together, they're too cold. If they're spread out on the edges, they're too warm. Ideally, you want them to spend most of their time near the lamplight, but venture out to other areas of the brooder as well. Now after 5 to 6 weeks, depending on their feathers and the outside temperature, they'll be ready to move outside. Your startup costs will vary drastically based on how many chicks you start with, how old they are, and how much you spend on your brooder. Assuming you start with 25 chicks, not factoring in the cost of your brooder, you can expect to spend about $100 on the chicks and about $40 on the starter supplies. Now each of these chicks will eat about 6 pounds of food over a 6-week period. For 25 chicks, that's about 3 50-pound bags of chick starter, which should cost around $45 in total. But when these chicks grow up, you might be able to make a profit off of them. 25 hens can produce up to 2 dozen eggs per day. You could sell these eggs to your neighbors. You could also turn their manure along with your compost into fertilizer and sell that. I hope this answered any questions you had about raising chicks. If you want more information on raising chicks, check out our critter blog at critterboutique.com. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more information on your pets.